Guys, good afternoon. As we told you today, we're going to have a press conference regarding a long-term Cleveland police investigation. It resulted in some arrests regarding organized crime. Today you will hear from Deputy Chief of Homeland Special Operations, Edward Tamba, as well as the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. At this time, I'd like to bring to the podium Deputy Chief Edward Tamba.
Thanks, Lieutenant. Good afternoon, everybody. Before I get started, an operation like this cannot be done alone, and there's a lot of people that are involved on the law enforcement side and also with the prosecutor's office and former law enforcement. So to my left is retired Lieutenant Joe Critch, who is now employed by the LoJack Corporation. Next to him is Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Chris Schroeder, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Jen O'Malley. Matt Meyer is one of the Assistant Prosecuting Attorneys in Prosecutor McGinty's office. This is Lynn McCarthy. Lynn is a first-grade detective from the New York City Police Department's Organized Crime and Intelligence Division, and everybody knows Prosecutor Tim McGinty. All of us together played a role in this, and I'd like to publicly acknowledge everybody, particularly the members and particularly Detective McCarthy of the New York City Police Department. The investigation was that of somebody that was an interest to a lot of people around the country. So with that said, I'd like to start by saying, starting last night at about 8 p.m., we executed several arrest and search warrants, and those warrants continued this morning. And as a result of those warrants, the following people that are on this board were arrested, and the person that sits at the top of the organization is Carmine the Bull Agnelb. Carmine is a made member of the Gambino crime family out of New York City. He is a former son-in-law of Gambino crime boss John Gotti. He has an extensive criminal record of extortion, violence, gambling, and all other traditional organized crime activities. During the course of our investigation and our search and arrest warrants today, 2 weapons were recovered, over $45,000 in cash was seized, heavy construction equipment, and computers, along with video equipment. Today's arrests are for theft, money laundering, conspiracy, and for corrupting sports. Carmine Agnelb is a made member of the Gambino organized crime family. He was in prison from 2001 until 2008 for the same type of organized crime activity that took place out in Queens, New York. Upon his release from prison, he was married, and he married a young lady from the Cleveland area. They moved to Bentleyville, Ohio, and then Carmine Agnelb started his activities on the southeast side of the city. About 18 months ago, he came to our attention about what was happening through our ComStat meetings and our weekly briefings relative to auto theft and auto crimes throughout the city. We started an undercover operation approximately 18 months ago, and today's arrest and search warrants are a culmination of that investigation. It was a cooperative investigation between the Division of Police and the New York City Police Department, who provided us with background information and historical information regarding the organized crime activities of Carmine Agnelb and other members of the Gambino crime family. At this time, I'm going to introduce Matt Meyer, who is our Assistant County Prosecutor, and he can take you through some of the legal proceedings that are going to take place now that the arrests are completed. The searches are continuing, and there's a lot more work to do. And afterwards, we'll take a few questions, and if you have any questions about what we have here as far as photographs or anybody on the board, we'll be glad to answer those.
Tim, do you want to say anything? Go ahead. All right. Currently, we believe Mr. Agnelb has committed theft in a large scale. The charges involve a regional metal scrap facility. Between 2014 and the present, the evidence indicates that Agnelb has defrauded this victim of over $3 million. Additionally, evidence has been uncovered indicating that Agnelb has been engaged in drugging horse racing events. He owns horse races, and we've uncovered evidence that indicates that he's been injecting his horses with illegal substances. The investigation is ongoing, and we anticipate that charges will be forthcoming.
Does anyone have any questions for myself or for the prosecutor's office?
I'll make one
Or go ahead,
short
Tim.
comment, if that's
Yep.
all right, Chief. Yeah, I just want to say that this was an outstanding effort and investigation by the Cleveland Police, second to none that I've ever seen. And I admire their determination to make sure that the mafia does not take root in Cleveland again. It's been driven out in the past with CPD and FBI help, and we do not want them to come back. And I'm very proud to have been able to assist Cleveland in this effort, an outstanding effort and a courageous effort by their police and detectives in this case. Thank you. May I answer specific questions?
When and where was Mr. Agnelb arrested, and what was his reaction?
He was arrested this morning at 116th and Harvard, and this is the arrest right here. So you can see his reaction right here. Obviously, anytime you're in handcuffs, it's not a good day for you. So he didn't say anything to us, but he was arrested this morning at one of his yards.
And where is his last known residence?
Bentleyville, Ohio.
Can you give us some details? You say a $3 million fraud. What does this $3 million fraud entail?
Madam.
Mr. Agnelb runs scrap yards and processes scrap automobiles. And in order to get paid for recycling automobiles, you weigh each automobile by the pound. And the evidence we uncovered throughout the course of this investigation showed that he was systematically weighing down each car with dirt. And that might sound trivial on a small scale, but over time, the evidence showed that he received over $3 million just in that 2014-2015 period. The evidence indicates, however, that this activity was going on much longer than that, and we anticipate that figure will increase.
So he didn't own the scrap yard where he was taking the cars, or?
No, he owned these scrap yards.
All right, so is he frauding himself?
No, he would take his cars, crush them, fill them with dirt, and then transport them to the regional metal processing facility. And evidence shows that he was bribing employees of that facility to overlook the cars that were filled with dirt.
Where were these horses located and what racetrack?
Those details we won't be providing at this time.
Yeah, and this is the same type of organized crime scam that he was one of the best at, if not the best, in the tri-state area during the John Gotti reign over organized crime in New York City. So he did what he knew, and you know, he was very profitable at it. And I'd like to echo what the prosecutor said, is Cleveland has been traditionally organized crime, the traditional organized crime free for quite a while. And one of the reasons, you know, that this really was interesting to us was we didn't want him or any of his minions to get a foothold here in Cleveland. And like I said, he bruised the public quite a bit with taking in these cars. And so that's why this operation culminated today the way it did.
And Commander, can you tell us how you actually got a tip on this, how it started?
Well, we had information, but what it was is during Chief McGrath's tenure as chief, we have weekly meetings about our crime statistics, and he holds the command staff accountable for keeping crime under control. There was a spike in auto thefts on the southeast side of the city. Really didn't have an answer for them. We did some research, and we found through our crime analysis that a lot of the autos that were being taken were not recovered, which historically we find vehicles either burned out or stripped. So we had over 52% of our vehicles that were not recovered, so they had to be going someplace. So actually it was just very good, intuitive police work from some of the men and women out in the 4th District that brought some information to us, and then the Special Investigative Section of the division took it the next step further and put some time into it, and we found out that a lot of the cars were going to these lots over on the southeast side. Tracy?
And how did you put that with him? How did he come into this picture Cleveland has been pretty much mafia-free for the last decade or so.
Well, I mean, he came into the picture because he moved here, and he decided to, to open up business, to open up the business that he knew what he was doing. So it was unusual. If you're familiar, you'll see the area of 116th and Harvard. I mean, it was a little unusual. They call him, his nickname's a bull. I mean, this guy was on the lot every single day. He stood out a little bit. So once we started doing some research, we got in touch with a subject matter expert, Detective McCarthy from New York, who works in our organized crime division. And I was familiar with Carmine, I was familiar with John Gotti, but it was always traditional organized crime out of New York City. It wasn't here. So we talked to NYPD. Myself and the investigator actually went to New York a few times. We got briefed, and the operation was exactly the same as what he was doing when he went to prison. So he was doing what he did. He was scamming the way he knows how to scam. He was extorting people the same way he did in New York.
Was that money staying here in Cleveland, or was some of the money going to New York?
Right now, we don't see that. Traditionally organized crime, they kick up their funds, but right now, we think he was running unencumbered here. Something like this probably 30 years ago would have never happened. Someone to come in here into the city of Cleveland and operate without the permission of the local organized crime, boss of the city. But pretty much it was open, and like I said, that was really our concern and the prosecutor's office concern, that he doesn't come into town and bring other people and get a foothold here. So I'll take one more
What
question.
roles did you use these for?
Pardon me?
You had undercover officers?
Yeah,
What roles did they play?
well, I don't really want to get into what roles they played, but we used a lot of different investigative techniques. But Mark, I can't get into that right now because the operation is coming to a close, but we're still, we're physically still out on the yard right now doing searches. So,
And you've been doing this a long time. Were you surprised when you saw these names pop up in Cleveland?
yes, yeah, without a doubt. We, like I said, traditional, in my tenure, 30 years in the police department, we really haven't had the traditional organized crime, La Cosa Nostra, but these guys were, like I said, he's a made member of the Gambino, the most notorious organized crime family in the country. So this is, right now, a good day for the Division of Police, for the prosecutor's office, for the residents that have been victimized, and hopefully we can, we can put an end to that victimization. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Guys, that's going to conclude the press conference. In about 30 minutes, Detective Chachi and I will be forwarding out a press release to you guys with some of the details Deputy Chief Thomas talked about. Once available, we'll also get a booking photo out to you. Anybody who wants to take advantage of some of these photos can, but that's going to conclude the press conference. Thank you.
Were they stripping the cars or
Hey,
just
thank you.
crushing the cars?